Hi, I'm JC Blackwelder, and this is Crash Course Colombian History Edition. We're talking about the Colombia in Latin America, not the Colombia that is irrelevant, like the one we're in. The Colombia that scored the goal in 2014 against Uruguay. You know, the James Rodriguez one?
Not by Alvaro Pereira, hit by James! Oh, what a goal!
Even though you thought Colombia might just be known for that, it actually turns out that they have a lot of history, especially in the 1950s. A lot of it has to do with class divisions, the geopolitical structure of the time, superstitions, small towns, and big dreams. Totally not read off of the script just then, but hey, that's the focus of today. Now, in order to avoid copyright infringement, we're going to have a segment called Mystery Wheel instead of the mystery document, because we don't have the rights to do that. So for the mystery wheel, we're going to be spinning it to see which character I impersonate for the rest of the project. Looks like our options are Angela, 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 and Angela. Let's go ahead and give it a spin. Who do you think it's going to land on? Comment down below. Wow, looks like it landed on Angela. Who would have thought? Mystery wheel segment done. After that great mystery wheel segment, it is now evident that I'm transformed into Angela Vicario. Now, time to get back to the content. As we get back to the main content, the important stuff, I'd like to take a look at superstitions in Colombia, which was a vital part of their society in the 1950s. Before we begin this, however, I'd like to ask you guys, the audience, what do you think of superstitions, and what are some you might have? I'll give you 10 seconds to discuss this with a partner, or think about it silently, or you can pause the video. Either way, I'll be staring into the camera blankly for 10 seconds while this happens. Okay, now back to the content. Superstitions in Colombia in the 1950s. I'll read a few of them just so you can get an idea. If you were to wear a deep shade of black, it would attract mourning. Mourning is a synonym for a feeling I have right now, which is sadness. If you sweep someone's feet, that person will not marry is also a superstition that was held at the time. Clearly, no one swept my feet, as I had an attempted marriage with San Roman. It did not work out because I sadly got returned. Another superstition is to avoid giving knives or scissors as presents unless you want to cut the people out of your life. There's plenty of people I would cut out of my life, but let's not discuss that right now. Another superstition is that at the day of the wedding, the wife cannot be seen by the husband. Now, for events related to the murder that deal with superstitions. In Colombia, Tuesdays have a lot of bad connotations, and it is said to not travel or really even to leave the house. The aura that is around is very negative on Tuesdays, so people tend to avoid it. In the novella, Santiago is murdered on a Monday, and the day after following is a Tuesday. It would make sense for the time period and the context, as the aura typically after a murder was negative, so many people avoided the feeling as a whole. Another superstition that could be related to the murder is that some parents keep their kids away from funerals or wakes to stop the ice of the dead from entering their body and making them sick. Though this is not directly correlated to the novella, it is evident that the bystander effect could have been in play because people did not want their kids near a dead person because it would get them sick. Another superstition during the time is that black butterflies symbolize bad luck and can allude to a loss in the family. Though there was no black butterfly directly in Santiago's dream, a lot of the imagery that is provided could have a butterfly in it, which could have possibly alluded to the loss of a family member. Another superstition that's mainly related to the historical context of the time is that during La Violencia, there were many unsupported press reports, including the accusation that several priests encouraged the murder of political opposition. So even among the superstitions, there was also a lot of unrest within citizens, which further contributed to the overall time period. The unrest that many people felt could be found within the events of the murder and how many people were not trusting each other. especially when the Vicarios said that they planned to murder Santiago. A lot of this is evident throughout the novella, but superstitions mainly contributed to Colombian society from a broader perspective, rather than one that is zoomed in.
Thank you, me from the past who is a cross-dresser. That aside, let's examine the Colombian society in a more physical way, like literally. The Chronicle of the Foretold took place in a Colombian town, Sucre, sometime after the Civil War. It was a small Latin American river village off the coast of the Caribbean, where it was isolated and mostly abandoned by the outside world. It is its own little confined community, and because of this, the isolation of community allowed it to maintain the obsolete tradition, which remained prominently implanted in its contemporary society. And what are these traditions? It's honor killing. Something on the sour, you poor guy. Back then, Colombians killed one another for any reason at all, or no reason at all. The local Colombians often had this phrase in their tongue. They state that el crimen de la... What's that? I cannot speak in Spanish because there was a language A course, which in translation to English is simply mean that the crime of passion were reserved as a luxuries for the rich in the city. Which made ton of sense because at the time when the local invent murders, it often was solely for their sentimental impulse, and when you combine those with superstitions and big dream and etc., you get this rich and dominant Latin American culture of pride and honors. And you might ask me from the past, how does people keep getting away with this? It's a small town, everyone know everyone. That was a bad question, me from the past, but I do agree that information do spread fast in small community, and here's why. When there's only little peoples, they are forced to comply to this essence of social connectedness that make it difficult for each individual to make their life private. But this idea is not really applicable to the Chronicle of the Death Foretold, but mostly about in cold blood, mostly about the gossiping ideas. So what is the actual reason? It's me. I'm the reason. It's me. As a corner upon this, I can also blame the other cultures and other people as well, especially the twin. Different here is, openly shouting and telling everyone that you are going to kill someone is not really a way to keep things in private. And the crazier thing is, this somehow make the murder on the twin favors, in that people don't really suspect you when you're admittedly open about your intentions. There's no suspense in the audience, and hence there really no way for people to really trust them. Fool me once and they can fool me twice. What? I don't know. They hit their knife again. I don't know. They have a knife at their house. Wait, it's time for the trailers?
The ship is coming. I'm glad I woke up in time. What an odd dream.
I now pronounce you husband and wife.
You're drunk?
We're gonna kill Santiago the Tsar.
There's no way out of this. Yeah. I want you house.
I've lived at that house for several years, and my wife lives in that house.
I still want your house.
It's gonna take a lot more than just words to get my house, sir.
I'll pay you 5,000 pesos. 10,000 pesos.
I gotta think about it. Here.
Hello, this is Pablo Vicario, coming to you straight from jail. I am here to talk to you about class divisions in Colombian society during the 1950s. There were three classes: the upper class, the middle class, and the lower class. The upper class made up 20% of the Colombian population. The upper class consisted of mostly European descent. Membership of the upper class was based on birthright rather than individual ability. The upper class enjoyed wealth and financial security and political power and also education. Then the middle class consisted of mostly mixed race people and few European descents. The middle class experienced less educational opportunity due to having less money. Then there was the lower class, which consisted of Black, Indian, and some poor whites. Members of the lower class were often malnourished, poorly housed, disease-ridden, and illiterate. So Santiago Nazar was part of the upper class, while my family and I was part of the lower class.
Hi everybody, this is Pedro Vicario, live from my jail cell. Today I'll be telling you about Colombian society in the 50s and all of our big dreams that we have here in the Colombian society. Many of you know why I'm here in this jail cell, and you may know that it's because I wanted to defend my family's honor. As a man in the 50s, it is my job to make sure that my family's honor is preserved. That dream is why I had to kill Santiago Nazar. All jokes aside, Santiago Nazar is still haunting me, so I'm paying my consequences for that brutal killing, and I know it is not right, even though I did it for the right cause. Now let me tell you a little bit of my sister's dream in the Colombian society and how that resembles the other women's dreams in this society. This is my sister, Angela. As a woman in this society, she can't have very many big dreams. So one of her biggest dreams for her future is to not be looked at as just an object who's ready for marriage whenever a man wants her. I think she also wants our mother to appreciate her and not see her the same way that society standards do. I know this applies to other women in Colombia as well, especially because these standards are so prominent and marriage is really the only thing that women are seen for at this time. On the morning that my brother and I went to kill Santiago Nazar, some of you may know my brother. His name is Pablo. He was pretty interested in killing Santiago Nazar, even though it was my idea. But anyways, we won't get too far into that. Let's just say there was some conflict between should we do it, should we not do it, morals, but in the end we had to uphold our family's honor. Anyways, on that morning, Santiago woke up and he was glad he woke up early because the bishop was coming. And I think that's another little dream that these people in our society have, because the bishop is a big authority figure and so many people live small and simple lives here in our society in Colombia. So I think it's important to kind of know that the bishop is an important man in our society. So with all of these dreams, the women's dream to be seen more as a marriage, my brother and I's dream as men to uphold our honor, and just the little tiny dream of meeting that bishop because you want to be part of that big authority deal. The Colombian society is a special thing. In the small towns, the dreams will get you, but we will just keep dreaming big, and hopefully I can get out of here soon so we can progress. I know that I talked some about Santiago Nassar, but I just want to say again that because it's my dream, I don't think that it was a committed sin. I know that he's haunting me and that his smell is everywhere, but what we did was to uphold our honor, and in the end, we have to follow that. That was just a disclaimer. I'm sorry. Thank you. I hope you learned something about Colombia in the 50s.
Hi guys, about to get married to my wonderful Bayardo, but let me tell you about the geopolitical struggles and political resistance of this time.
Between 1948 and 1958, a civil war took place in Colombia known as La Valencia. 200,000 Colombians were killed and a lot of families destroyed, as their family members turned up dead or missing. This was most likely the war that Pedro Vicario fought in before being able to return home with a lot of internal and psychological damages. This political feud was between the Colombian Conservative Party and the Colombian Liberal Party. In 1946, the Conservative Party candidate Perez won the election because the Liberal Party presented two candidates who could not gain a majority. Political violence had been on the rise, and one of these Liberal Party candidates, Gaetan, was murdered in Bogota on April 9, 1948. After his assassination, La Valencia began. General San Ramon, Beato's father from the Chronicle, was a member of this Conservative Party, and his actions and part in the war made him a well-known public and political figure. The Liberal Party formed peasant and countryside armies specifically targeting the conservatives. This violence led to a greater rift in between political parties, which led to an institutional breakdown of structure and collapse of the state. It also led to more lives lost, as a lot of male members of families began to leave their homes to go fight in the war for money. The Liberals also boycotted several elections, instilling an even further political divide. La Valencia intensified under Loreno Gomez's regime, which began in 1950. He attempted to introduce a fascist state. Fascism is designed as a mass political movement that emphasizes extreme nationalism, militarism, and the supremacy of leaders. He was quickly shut down and taken over by a military coup, the first and only one in Colombian history. This systemic mass violence is the context behind the Chronicle of the Foretold, and helps provide clarity of a lot of the illusions presented by Garcia Marquez from the book.
As we conclude this crash course video, or YouTube video, depending on what it's turned into, remember that in the 1950s, lots of historical context is important in understanding the novella as a whole. We hope that you enjoyed this video, and please like, comment, and subscribe, even if it's blocked on school laptops. Thanks again, guys.